Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. I am Brian Wright, and I am joined by Maria Vasquez, and we are going into week 9. We only have this week and then another 2 weeks left in the regular season, and so we are really getting close to the playoffs, and the games are getting more important each and every week. And our game of the week this week is going to be Poston Butte hosting Gilbert Mesquite. And Poston Butte has really been tough luck losers the last 2 weeks. They lost a 1-point game to Peoria, and then last week they lost a 3-point game to Marcos de Niza. So they have another challenge this week in Gilbert Mesquite, which is ranked number 10 in the 4A rankings. So Maria, how do you see this matchup shaping up?
Well, I think Poston Butte is going to have their hands full with Mesquite's quarterback, Ty Thompson. He already has over 2,000 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and he's averaging around 323 passing yards per game.
Yeah, now I think that Poston can keep up in this game on offense. I mean, they have struggled a little bit defensively, but like last week in their loss to Marcos de Niza, they had 517 yards. I mean, they have a lot of ways that they can beat you on offense, specifically on the ground. You have a very good running back in Zion Burns, who's been very impressive this year, and you also have quarterback Gavin Lloyd, who can run the football, in addition to guys like Khalil Cooper and Nick Cocomello. So, I mean, the Broncos are pretty diverse on offense, and I think that they are going to be able to at least keep up or keep pace with Marcos de Niza on offense. Maria, what do you think is really going to be the key for the Broncos to snap their losing streak?
I think it's going to come back to quarterback Gavin Lloyd and what he can do to help take some of that pressure off of Zion Burns.
Yeah, I agree, and I think maybe it's going to be just a defensive stop. Near the end of the game, whether it's Poston making that stop or Mesquite making that stop. Both teams have had a little bit of trouble stopping their opponents. Poston is giving up a little over 34 points a game, whereas Mesquite is giving up a little over 30 points a game. So I think maybe that is going to be the difference, is whoever can make that key defensive stop in this game, which I believe is going to be high scoring. That does it for our breakdown on the game of the week, and enjoy the game on Friday night. Okay, let's get into our Week 9 picks, and I have moved just ahead of Maria. She is 49-16 on the year, and I am 52-15. So let's start with our game of the week, which is Poston Butte hosting Gilbert Mesquite. And I look at Poston Butte, and they've had these 2 really close games the last 2 weeks that they've fallen just short. And Mesquite's a very tough opponent, but I actually think that the Broncos are going to find a way to get it done. I think that they've shown to have a multiple, very effective rushing attack, and I think that that will help them put up points and help them control the clock a little bit. And I see the Broncos snapping their losing streak and getting a win.
And I am going to pick Gilbert Mesquite. I think that defensively, there's still some small little kinks that the Broncos need to figure out in order to close out those close games. Next, we have CG Union hosting Tucson Catalina Foothills. And this is the second week in a row that Catalina Foothills is coming down to Casa Grande after they played Vista Grande last week. However, they did get that win, but I don't think that's going to happen against CG Union, as the Cougars have a much better defense and offense than the Spartans.
And I'm covering that game, so I do not have a pick. Next, we have Maricopa hosting Gilbert Williamsfield, and unfortunately for the Rams, they have just played a brutal schedule. This is going to be another top 10 team in 5A that they're playing. Williamsfield is ranked number 7, and Maricopa has struggled against some of these admittedly very, very good teams at the top of 5A. So I don't know if I see a lot of that changing. Coach Brandon Harris has talked about his team lacking discipline and having some problems with immaturity. So I think the Rams need to shore that up a lot if they even want to be competitive in this game. But I see Williamsfield with their quarterback Mason Bugg. He's very efficient, completing about 65% of his passes, and for about 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. I see Williamsfield getting the win here.
I'm also picking Williamsfield. In addition to Bug, they have running back Kendricks Lurie, who has over 600 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. I think, whether they stop the quarterback or the running back, there's going to be something else going on with Williamsfield, and that's going to be too much for Maricopa. Next, we have Santa Cruz Valley hosting Scottsdale Christian. And typically, I would be one to cover the Santa Cruz game, but I will not be out there this week. So, I get to pick Santa Cruz this time. And they have a phenomenal running back with Hunter Ogle, who is just the go-to guy for the Dust Devils. But in addition to that, their defense has done a phenomenal job against opponents. And opponents are just averaging around 19 points per game against the Dust Devils.
Yeah, and I agree with Maria on this one. I am going to take the Dust Devils. Last week, they played a top 10 Arizona Lutheran team, and they were without their starting quarterback. And even without their starting quarterback, they really beat up on Arizona Lutheran. And as Maria said, it all goes back to Hunter Ogle, who is not just their best player on offense, but he's also leading the team in tackles with 55, and he's leading the team in sacks with 3. And another thing that I like about Santa Cruz is that their defense is forcing turnovers. They have forced 18 turnovers this year. They have 8 interceptions and 10 fumble recoveries. So I like the Dust Devils to win this game in a blowout. Next, we have Santan Foothills going on the road to Florence. And you really have 2 teams that have struggled a lot this year. Santan Foothills is 2-5. Florence is 1-6. They have lost 6 games in a row. So both teams really need a victory here, and I think that Florence, despite those 6 losses in a row, is somehow going to pull off the win here. Now, a lot of that depends on the health of Joshua Magnan, their big-time running back. He did not play last week. And on the other side of the football, you have Amari Bailey, who's been very good for Santan Foothills this year, so that could be a nice matchup if Magnan plays. But I just think that Florence might have a little bit more talent man for man than Foothills, and they are at home, so I'm going to take the Gophers.
And I'm going to take Santan Foothills. Although both of these teams have pretty much been all over the spectrum. Florence started out real hot, and they had a couple of games that they lost by 1 point in which they were leading. So I'm taking Foothills just because I don't know how good Joshua Magnan will be if he plays or if he doesn't. And I think Santan Foothills has a slightly better offense with Amari Bailey and Brett Lincoln at quarterback. Next, we have Combs traveling to Glendale. And these 2 teams are pretty evenly matched up on paper, but I think Glendale's Kevin Daniels is going to be the difference maker in this game.
When I look at this matchup, I see a real fireworks show because both of these teams can put up a lot of points. And conversely, both of them have trouble stopping their opponents. So Maria mentioned Kevin Daniels. He is a very good running back, but I think that he is going to be counteracted. On the other side, Combs has Joey Jensen, who's been phenomenal this year as well. And I think that the difference in this game is going to be Trey Buck. I think Combs has a little bit of an advantage at quarterback here, and Buck has had a nice senior season, and last week against Cortez, he threw 6 touchdowns in the first half. So I'm going to pick Combs here, and I think they are going to get the victory. Last game we have is Apache Junction going on the road to Phoenix Cortez. And AJ has really done a nice job here against a soft portion of their schedule, really dominating their opponents. And, we all know that they can score. We know that they've got a very good quarterback in Gibson Lamangelo, and he's even gotten a little bit of help recently from running backs Ethan LeBrew and Chris Lohman. But I really like the Prospectors' defense, and they have put up consecutive shutouts in their last 2 games. And you have Cody Arbogast and Ethan LeBrew, who both have 6.5 sacks on the year. So I think that the Prospectors are going to cruise in this game.
I agree with Brian. The defense has been a key part in their blowouts these last couple of weeks. And in addition to both Arbogast and LeBrew, they have Ethan Wright, who also has 5 sacks for the Prospectors. So going up against a struggling Phoenix Cortez like they have against Dysart and Phoenix Washington, I think Apache Junction is going to have another easy game this week.
That does it for our picks. Remember to visit PinalCentral.com for all your Pinal County football action, and we will see you next week.